My sister-in-law used tricks to marry my brother. Our whole family disliked her. But later, when my brother was crippled and Sister Lu ran off with the money, only my sister-in-law stayed behind to brew his medicine and wash him, caring for him day and night without removing her clothes. At first my brother cursed my sister-in-law angrily, saying she had humiliated him. Later he clung to her waist and refused to let go. Jing, I won't make you suffer anymore. Later still, my brother's injuries healed completely, and he was once again the imposing General Xia. But my sister-in-law said to him with her luggage in hand, "Xia Linyuan, your injuries are healed. I'm going home now." My sister-in-law's name was Xue Jing, a minor woman doctor from a frontier town. Originally, someone like her would never have had anything to do with a noble young master like my brother. But while my brother was leading troops in battle, he was once injured and collapsed at her doorstep. Before my brother passed out, he asked her to help find a doctor. Who would have thought she treated him herself? It wasn't a very serious injury, and in Dazhao, there were no female doctors who practiced medicine on men. She was a woman, and although there was clearly a male doctor living right next door, she still did it herself. She saw and touched my brother's leg. When my brother woke up, he was completely dumbfounded. But no matter how dumbfounded he was, our Xia family was still a household with rules. When father learned of it, and then found out my brother was the first patient she had ever treated, he went to a matchmaker the very next day to deliver the betrothal gifts. At that time, mother and I were far away in the capital. By the time we got the news, it was already too late. Sister Lu's tears fell like pearls, so heartbreaking to see. She had come to seek refuge with our family at 14, cultured and sensible, gentle and considerate. Whenever she and my brother happened to meet each other's eyes, both of them would blush with shyness. Mother had seen it all and had originally planned to let them marry once my brother returned. But at this moment, Mother could only grit her teeth and say, "What a scheming woman. Since she's set on marrying in, then I'll let her know what it means to be a daughter-in-law." Having spent 3 years with Sister Lu, I naturally took her side and chimed in. And there's also me, her difficult little sister-in-law. We are a military family and straightforward by nature, so Mother even specifically went out to ask others how to be a cruel mother-in-law. But when we met Xue Jing, she was even more straightforward than we were. She had a rash-looking face, not as soft and pretty as Sister Lu, and when we met for the first time, she said brightly, "Greetings, Mother. My husband was afraid you'd be lonely at home, so he had me come back first to fulfill my filial duty." Mother only gave a faint hum and made her stand in the hall, saying she was going to take a nap. This was what the old madam next door had taught her, saying that making a new bride stand to learn the rules would quickly crush her spirit. But Xue Jing just stood there ramrod straight, without even bending her waist once, and stood for a full 4 hours. Mother and I waited inside until our stomachs were growling, yet she still didn't weaken so much as a bit in the legs. With no other choice, Mother had someone serve dinner. At the table, we sat while she stood, and whichever dish Mother pointed to, she had to pick up. After being put through the ringer for an entire meal, her expression still didn't change in the slightest. I was furious and secretly said to her, "Humph, don't think you can get through this just by pretending to be obedient for one day. There are plenty more rules to come." She froze for a moment, then asked me seriously, if I want to be Xie Linyuan's wife, do I have to know all these rules? Her tone was too sincere, and I guiltily looked away, yet still jutted out my chin and said, "Of course. These are the rules of respectable families in the capital. To be a daughter-in-law, you have to be obedient." She nodded. "All right, then I'll be obedient." Xue Jing really was very obedient. When Mother told her to get up at the 3rd watch to personally make soup, she got up at the 2nd watch. If one batch of soup didn't taste good, she would make it 10 times. Mother said my brother was in danger on the battlefield and needed the family to pray for blessings, so she knelt in the Buddhist hall day after day until her legs were bruised and swollen, while her hands never stopped copying the Ksitigarbha Sutra. Now, it wasn't just me feeling guilty. Even Mother felt guilty. She muttered, "Could this girl be simple-minded? Why isn't she losing her temper with us over any of this?" Most of the time, Xue Jing was simple-minded. Only occasionally would she stare blankly at a set of needles. It looked like a set of acupuncture needles a doctor would use on patients. Xue Jing cherished it very much, and every time after looking at it, she would boil it. There were also female doctors in the capital, but their status was very low, and their medical skills were much inferior to those of male doctors. I thought she was the same, that the reason she could save my brother was only because his injuries hadn't been that serious to begin with. But I didn't expect those needles to end up on Mother. That day, Mother's asthma flared up, and the imperial physician prescribed some medicine, as usual, to relieve it. But Mother still felt so uncomfortable that she couldn't sleep soundly. When one's mother-in-law is ill, it is only natural for the daughter-in-law to attend to her. I felt sorry for Mother, so I stayed by her bedside as well. By candlelight, while Mother was half asleep, Jing brought out her needles. I looked at her warily, but she softly shushed me. "Little sister, don't wake Mother. I can make her feel less miserable, trust me." Before I could even process whether I trusted her or not, she moved so quickly that she had already stuck needles all over Mother's head and upper chest, turning her into a hedgehog. I was so frightened that I thought she was taking the chance to get back at Mother, but when I listened more carefully, Mother's breathing had actually become steady. Jing chuckled and said, "Well,
I'm amazing, aren't they?"
the one treating Mother's illness was a highly skilled old imperial physician, and she had treated her even better than he had. I could only say a little awkwardly, "Fine, you're impressive." But after hearing my praise, her eyes and brows drooped. "Yes, I'm this capable. So why do the rules in your capital not allow me to practice medicine?" I didn't know how to answer. If she had married into a small, ordinary family, maybe she could have. But she had married into a great household, so that was definitely impossible. Fortunately, it was only for a moment before she cheered herself up again and said with a satisfied smile, "But it's okay. If it's for marrying your brother, then I'm willing." Once she got talking, Jing chattered on and told me a great deal more. She said her parents had been killed by the Barong when she was very young. She wanted to join the army, but the army did not accept women. Then she thought that war meant injuries, so she decided to study medicine so that in the future she could treat the wounds of those soldiers who gave their heads and shed their blood. She kowtowed many times before an old man in the mountains was willing to take her as his disciple. She practiced early and late, and only when she was 18 did her master allow her to come down from the mountain. Her sect taught her that there is no distinction between men and women when it comes to healing and saving lives, but her sect did not know that things were not like that down below the mountain. She had only saved my brother once before a matchmaker came knocking at her door. Blushing a little, Jing said, "I've seen your brother before, riding a tall horse, leading the troops, marching off in high spirits to fight the Barong. He killed so many Barong soldiers. He's the great hero of our Tong city. I want to marry him." Before coming to the capital, all the villagers said I had stumbled into great luck. They said people in the capital are very picky when choosing a wife, and told me I absolutely must not bring shame to the people of Tong City. "I know I'm still far from your capital standards for a good wife, but for your brother's sake, I will learn seriously." Speaking of rules, she looked up at me somewhat uneasily. "Little sister, by your capital standards, have I learned the rules well enough now? Will your brother dislike me?" She could not tell that Mother and I were tormenting her. She only wanted to be a good daughter-in-law who would not make Brother Lu's face. For Sister Lu's sake, I should have said that my brother would definitely dislike you. But my throat felt dry, and in the end I said unwillingly, "Anyway, you've learned better than I have. If the family I marry into in the future dares treat me like this, I'll definitely have my brother come and beat his way to their door." Jing happily gave me a hug. No. With Mother teaching you, you'll definitely learn better than I did. Owing someone a favor makes you feel constrained. Although it's only right for a daughter-in-law to do things for her mother-in-law, she did save Mother after all. Even if we still hadn't truly accepted her as one of the family, we were too embarrassed to keep setting rules for her. Sister Lu said gently, "That's for the best. Sister Shui and cousin are already married. Aunt loves me but makes things difficult for her, and I feel very sorry about that too." Once Sister Lu opened up, life at home became very peaceful. After a peaceful stretch of time, my brother came back. From the moment we received the news, Jing was very happy. She was genuinely happy. From the moment my brother appeared at the front gate, her eyes sparkled when she looked at him. It was the kind of joy that felt satisfied with just a single glance at him, something I hadn't even seen in Sister Lu's eyes. But my brother's gaze toward her was indifferent. Only when he caught sight of Sister Lu did a trace of sorrow appear. My mind cleared all at once. No matter how good Jing's medical skills were, she was still a bad person. She had split apart two people who loved each other. When Mother saw her precious darling of a son, she pulled him close and looked him over front and back. As she looked, her eyes reddened. Poor child, just like your father. Once you go to the battlefield, you get worn down till you're dark and skinny. While you're at home, mother will build you back up with nourishing food. My brother had returned to gather provisions and fodder, and he would stay for 1 month before leaving. As soon as Shuejing heard nourish, she immediately said, Mother-in-law, leave it to me. I'm a doctor. I understand dietary therapy. I felt bad for my brother and didn't want to make things easy for her, so I retorted, You don't even know what my brother likes to eat. In this residence, Sister Lu's arrangements are still the most to my brother's liking. Pinching her handkerchief, Sister Lu said cautiously, If needed, I'm willing to do my part for cousin. Mother looked from side to side and still felt her son should come first, so she patted Sister Lu's hand. Good child, then I'll have to trouble you. Once Mother had spoken, that of course settled the matter once and for all, and Shuejing said nothing more. But whenever Sister Lu was in the kitchen instructing the cooks, she would go over and hover nearby, constantly taking notes in her little notebook. As she wrote, she also said to Sister Lu, Sister Lu, thank you so much. You've gone to so much trouble making dishes for my husband. Once I figure out what my husband likes to eat, I won't make you work so hard anymore. Words like that were practically knives stabbing into Sister Lu's heart. Sister Lu couldn't hold back, and she ran off crying. Even after that, Shuejing still put on an act and nervously came to ask me, Little sister, I don't know why Miss Lu started crying. Did I say something wrong? My anger flared up at once, and without caring about anything else I said, Have you never thought that before marrying you, my brother might already have had someone he liked? Shuejing looked at me and shook her head firmly. I never thought about it. Before I agreed to marry him, I asked him whether there was someone in his heart. He said no, and only then did I marry him. Your brother is a general, he wouldn't lie. I know he doesn't love me yet, but as long as there's no one in his heart, I still have a chance. She was always like this, with that honest, guileless expression that made people want to believe what she said without even realizing it. And I believed her again. I ran to find my brother and asked in confusion, Before the marriage, why didn't you tell Shuejing that the person in your heart was Sister Lu? My brother gave a bitter smile. Do you think she's very simple and innocent? I used to believe that too. When I woke up in her home, I asked her not to spread the news that she had treated me and to give me time to think things through. She agreed, but then turned around, and the entire city of Tong knew about it. You know what kind of person father is. Once he knew, I had no choice. What's more, we were on the battlefield. If I didn't marry her, all of Tong would spread rumors that our Xie family repaid kindness with ingratitude. How was I supposed to lead troops then? She wanted to use me to climb higher, and she succeeded. A woman so different outwardly and inwardly. If she were to learn of cousin's existence, who knows what kind of trouble she might stir up. My cousin still needs to marry honorably in the future, and I don't want to bring her any more trouble. Right? Sister Lu still has to get married too, and she needs her reputation. No wonder the moment Mother received news of brother's marriage, she strictly ordered the servants not to mention the past again. Brother commands so many soldiers. He's better than I am at judging people. If he says Shuejing is not what she seems, he must have his reasons. But there is still resentment in brother's heart. He used being busy with official duties as an excuse and would not enter Shuejing's room, sleeping only in the study. Gradually, rumors even began to spread through the residence that brother and she had not consummated the marriage back in Tongqing either, and that they were only a couple in name. Mother was shocked when she heard the rumors and summoned Changfu, the young servant who had accompanied brother to the battlefield, to ask him about it. Changfu hemmed and hawed as he said, It's not that the young general didn't want to. It's just that on the wedding day, enemy forces happened to attack, and the general went straight to the battlefield with his spear in hand. Afterward, the young madam returned to the capital, and that's how the matter was delayed. Mother waved her hand and told him to leave, but she herself fell silent. We all knew that even though the battlefield was dangerous, brother had already returned to the residence several days ago. No matter how busy official business was, he still had to sleep at night.
He simply didn't want to.
Mother let out a soft sigh. Your brother is being foolish. If he truly wanted to resist, he shouldn't have married her in the first place. But since he did marry her, leaving her out in the cold turns right into wrong. Sigh. In the end, it still falls to me, his mother, to clean up this mess. The ways Mother made things difficult for sister-in-law were all standard methods a proper mother-in-law would use. Many families in the capital did the same. It didn't count as humiliation. But brother refusing to consummate the marriage was, for a woman, humiliation after all. Shuejing was wrong to resort to scheming, and brother was also wrong to humiliate her. They were just as bad as each other. Mother suddenly lost heart and only wanted them to quickly become a proper married couple. The first step to getting brother to settle down was to marry Sister Lu off first. Holding her hand, mother said, "Good child, you and Lin Yuan were never meant to be because of fate's twists and turns. But don't worry, I will find you a good match with a promising future." Sister Lu lowered her head, her eyes red. "I will listen to you in everything." Sister Lu's mother was Mother's close childhood friend, and they were also distantly related. There was no one left in her family now. In arranging a match for her, they were using the title of the Duke's Manor's young cousin lady. Mother chose with the utmost care, looking only at families with simple household circumstances, modest means, and men of good character who were also ambitious and hardworking. This way, no one would pick at Sister Lu's background. She would not have to suffer hardship, and she would have something to look forward to in life. Mother also handed all of brother's food, clothing, housing, and daily needs over to Shuejing to manage. Mother said that only by having more contact would they develop feelings. Shuejing was very attentive, making several trips to the study every day and preparing all kinds of soups and tonics she had learned to make for brother to drink. But no one expected that these soups and tonics would lead to a serious problem. That day, under the blazing sun, Mother and Sister Lu settled on the final candidate. Before everything was set in stone, Sister Lu pleaded with me to accompany her to the study. She wanted to say a few final words to brother. She had always been proper and mindful of etiquette. With me accompanying her, no one could gossip. When we went in, brother was staring blankly at a bowl of soup. Shuejing had just brought it over, and he did not look as if he wanted to drink it. Sister Lu walked up, picked up the bowl of soup, stirred it twice, then held it out in front of brother with a smile and said, "Cousin, drink it. Some things we have to move on from eventually." She was urging brother to accept Shuejing. Brother looked at her for a long time, then tipped back his head and drank the soup down to the last drop. I quietly withdrew from the study and stood outside in the courtyard, giving them space to say their farewells. But in less than half a quarter of an hour, strange sounds came from inside. In a voice that wanted to rise but did not dare, Sister Lu said, "Cousin, what's wrong with you? Let go of me, quickly. Xiaoya, come save me." Hearing Sister Lu call for me, I hesitated no longer and pushed the door open. Brother was pinning Sister Lu down on the table, and half her clothes had already been undone. Not caring about my panic, I rushed forward and yanked my brother backward, but he seemed drunk and couldn't control himself. In a moment of resolve, I knocked him unconscious with the inkstone. He passed out, but Sister Lu was almost crying herself to death. I didn't know how to handle this. It wasn't something I could deal with, so I could only call Mother in. In the tiny room, Mother looked at the chaotic scene and collapsed into a chair at once. "Inghe is a pure and innocent young lady. What are we to do? What are we to do?" Mother woke my brother by splashing a bowl of water on him. Looking at him, she said in anguish, "You wretched beast. Look at what you've done. How am I supposed to answer to Inghe's mother after I die?" My brother was still somewhat dazed. After a moment of confusion, he finally remembered what had happened. With a dark expression, he shouted to Chongfu, "Go bring Shuejing here." Mother was not stupid and immediately understood what he meant. Shocked, she said, "You're saying this has something to do with your wife?" My brother said nothing, only stared at the bowl of soup that had already been swept to the floor. Sister Lu stopped crying and said softly, uncertainly, "Cousin's mind at the time seemed not quite clear. Though I am still an unmarried girl, Mother was afraid I might suffer, so she taught me quite a few things, and drugs that cloud the mind were one of them. Respectable people would of course never use this kind of drug, but there are always men and women shameless enough to risk everything, hoping to turn things into a fait accompli and marry into a good family." My brother had not consummated the marriage with Shuejing, and Shuejing was also a doctor. This bowl of soup was delivered by her. Anyone with a brain would think of it. She drugged Big Brother's soup in order to consummate the marriage. When the effect kicked in, no matter how much my brother disliked her, Mother would have no choice but to quietly send him to her room. Even if she and my brother were husband and wife, this was still a despicable thing to do. What's more, the person harmed by her despicable act now was Sister Lu. Sister Lu has no parents. She is already so pitiful. I was filled with guilt for once having thought that Jing might not be bad. The instant she stepped through the door, I clenched my fists and threw myself at her, hitting her. "Give my brother back to Sister Lu, you shameless woman." She had come in smiling, but after I hit her and she saw the state of the room, she asked in complete confusion, "What happened? Little sister, did I offend you?" But I would never believe the foolishness on her face again. If she were truly foolish, she would never have been able to marry into my family. Mother was truly furious as well. She barked sharply, "Shui, kneel down." Jing knelt, but she still asked in confusion, "Mother-in-law, have I once again failed to learn some role properly?" Mother pointed at the soup bowl on the floor. "Was this brought to the study by you?" Jing nodded. "I added some nourishing medicinal herbs. They're very good for my husband's old injuries." She was still playing dumb. My brother let out a scornful laugh. "What medicinal herbs? Shameless medicinal herbs?" Even though my brother did not like Jing, he had never spoken harshly to her before. Such blunt mockery made her stare at him in a daze, as if she did not recognize him. She picked up a shard from the broken soup bowl and said as she sniffed it, "Do you not recognize medicinal herbs? There is nothing in this but some astragalus and codenopsis." But as she kept sniffing, she looked up in shock. Who could be so vicious? They actually added a harmful drug to it. Mother managed this household, and she had already sent her most trusted Madame Tian out to ask about it. Madame Tian stepped forward and said, "This old servant has already asked in the kitchen." Young Madame was very attentive. Everything about the soup, from washing the ingredients to simmering it and carrying it away, was handled personally by you, with no one else involved. If you have any doubts, the kitchen staff can be summoned to confront you. Only then did Jing have no choice but to understand. Stubbornly, she looked at my brother and said, "Xia Lin Yuan, I didn't do it. It wasn't me. It must have been tampered with after it was brought to the study. Think carefully. Who else touched this bowl of soup?" Sister Lu had originally calmed down, but when she heard this, a look of despair spread over her whole face as she looked at Jing tremblingly. "Sister Shui, heaven is watching what people do. I only brought the soup to cousin. I truly meant well for you and wanted to persuade you two to get along. Yet you want to pin such a filthy thing on me. Are you trying to force me to die?" With that, she suddenly stood up and lifted her head, about to smash it into the wall. She moved so fast and with such force that when I reached out, I couldn't stop her, and my heart nearly leaped out. Luckily, brother was faster than she was. He blocked the wall with his chest and pulled Sister Lu into his arms. Jing was frightened too, and reached out to feel Sister Lu's pulse. "I didn't say it was you. I didn't know you had carried that bowl of soup. Quick, let me check whether you're hurt." But no one believed her anymore. Brother slapped her hand away, and everyone looked at her coldly. Jing began to cry. Looking at brother, she said, "Xia Lin Yuan, I have a master and teachings to uphold. I would never use my medical skills to do such a thing." Her eyes were full of longing for brother to believe her. But brother said coldly, "A master and teachings? Does your master know you used your medical skills to cling to a man? First, in the name of treatment, you had intimate contact with me, then you spread it all over the city, leaving me no choice but to marry you. Jing, I compromised once. It was your greed that knew no bounds. This time, I will not let the woman I love suffer any more wrongs." After saying that, brother left holding Sister Lu. Mother rubbed her head wearily and was helped back to her own courtyard by Nanny Tian to rest. Only Jing remained collapsed on the ground, murmuring in confusion, "The woman he loves? He has someone he loves?" I spat at her and said, "Yes. If you weren't so shameless, Sister Lu should have been my sister-in-law. You stole the man she loves and harmed her like this. They say physicians worship the medicine king. If the great immortal Sun Si Miao knew there was a doctor like you, he would surely punish you." I didn't know where the medicine king's punishment was, but Mother's punishment was decided very quickly. Mother decided to divorce her after the war was over. She said to brother, "Your wife is meant to be the lady of the house in the future. Character like this is absolutely unacceptable. Go off to war with peace of mind for now. When your father returns, I'll discuss it with him." Father was still on the battlefield waiting for his grain supplies to return. Nothing was more important than defending the border. Brother returned to Tongcheng, and as for Jing, she was placed under house arrest. A doctor who could use medicine to do evil was too frightening, so Mother confined her to her courtyard and forbade her from moving about freely. Sister Lu also stayed in her own little courtyard, focusing on embroidering her dowry. She and brother had already been intimate, and if Xueqing had not made that mistake, she could only have become a concubine with grievance. Now, after the divorce, she could wait to marry brother properly and honorably. I would occasionally go see Xueqing. Although we intended to divorce her, after the divorce we still had to send her away properly and couldn't let anything happen to her in the house. At first she said nothing. She had grown thin all over, and her eyes were always vacant, as if she didn't know what she was looking at. One day, she suddenly said, "That day, senior brother came to see me, and when he saw that I had saved the first patient of my life, he joyfully spread the news. I had clearly asked him whether there was someone else in his heart. If he had only asked me one question in return, I would never have come between him and Miss Lu. In his eyes, am I not even worth one extra question?" She wasn't speaking to me or to anyone else. She was only murmuring to herself in a heartbreaking tone. So, I stopped going to see her as well. I didn't believe her, but I was afraid my resolve might weaken. Day by day, time passed. The next news I heard came from the mouths of those little maids. A third-rank little maid in my courtyard gestured animatedly and exaggeratedly said, "Those needles the young madam has must have been bestowed by the gods. No matter what the ailment is, she just goes swish, swish, swish with a couple of jabs and cures it." There was a nanny who fell ill while delivering food to Xueqing, and she cured her in no time at all. Word of it spread among the servants. Many maids and older women were secretly going to her for treatment. I told mother about it and she sighed. "It counts as doing good deeds, so let her be. Just keep an eye on her and don't let her stir up any more trouble." I secretly went to take a look. Xueqing was still very thin, but she had recovered a bit of vitality. She smiled gently at every patient who came to see her. I felt a little upset. If those things had never happened, I would have respected her as a good doctor. In the third month of treating people, Xueqing sent word to mother that she wanted to leave. She had cured many people, and after thinking it over, mother changed the letter of repudiation into a mutual divorce agreement. In Dazhao, parents are allowed to arrange a divorce or repudiation on behalf of their sons. On the day she left, I escorted her to the gate, but before we could even leave the residence, disaster struck. A great many soldiers surrounded our home, allowing no one in and no one out. Just as I was about to step forward, Xueqing stopped me. She smiled and said, "By your capital's rules, aren't girls not supposed to meet unrelated men? I'd better go ask." Her smile was full of relief, and compared with before, besides her simple honesty, she also seemed to have grown into an adult. Though she was an adult to begin with. I froze for a moment, and then she stepped forward first. They were Imperial Guards, and their leader said in a businesslike tone, "Duke Xie delayed matters before the battle, then fled afterward, and his whereabouts are unknown. Until he is found, His Majesty has ordered the Duke's residence sealed off, and no member of the Xie family is permitted to enter or leave." This was a crime that could mean confiscation of property and extermination of the clan, and the whole residence immediately fell into chaos. When mother learned that father had gone missing, she collapsed with a thud. It was Xueqing who used long needles to revive her. At a time like this, only if mother stayed steady could our whole family stay steady. No matter how anxious she was, mother used thunderous measures to keep the inner household under control. There were some servants in the house who had not sold themselves into service. They did not count as members of the Xie residence. The Xie family was not allowed to go out, but they could. Only once they left, they could not come back. Mother carefully instructed them which households they should go to for help. I glanced at Xueqing. I knew she no longer counted as one of the Xie family either, but I was afraid mother would fall ill again, and selfishly, I said nothing to remind her. Sister Lu and I stayed with mother, waiting day after day. No good news came, but my gravely wounded brother was brought back instead. He was carried home on a stretcher. The military doctor followed him to the gate and said to mother in self-reproach, "Old madam, this old man is useless. I cannot heal the young general's leg. I have no face to see you." Uncle Feng had followed father since his youth, and his skill in treating external injuries was even better than that of the imperial physicians in the capital. If even he could not cure it, it was practically a sentence declaring that brother would never stand again. Mother sat motionless by brother's bedside for a long time. She did not cry, but she was more sorrowful than tears could show. Sister Lu and I volunteered together to take on the task of caring for brother, but after he woke up, he became a silent man. Sister Lu lay weeping against his knees, asking whether he was in pain, but he only looked at her without saying a word. There was not much food left in the residence, and we picked out the best ingredients to make soup to nourish him, but he only let it sit there until it turned cold. Worse still, within a few days, there were even more soldiers guarding outside the residence. The old madam next door, taking advantage of how close the two residences were, managed by every possible means to throw in a letter. It said that the court was currently discussing our case, and that we might be sentenced to exile. She told Mother to hide away more silver, so it would be better than setting out on the road unprepared. Sister Lu's hand was icy cold as she held mine. In disbelief, she asked, "Aunt, will it really come to this?" Mother said nothing, but the grave expression on her face had already given the answer. Mother actually didn't want Sister Lu to stay with her. She was afraid Sister Lu wouldn't be able to bear leaving her, and privately said to me, "It's fortunate that Ingha hasn't married into the family yet. If that day really comes, whether she's willing or not, I will drive her out of the residence. It's just pitiful that at such a young age, you must surely suffer alongside Mother. Don't be afraid. Even if we're exiled, Mother will always stand in front of you." But Sister Lu wasn't reluctant to leave us. On an ordinary morning, she disappeared. That day, all of us slept especially heavily, and breakfast was late too. Nanny Tian went to call her, only to find her courtyard empty. On the table, there was only a letter left for Brother. Mother immediately realized there was something wrong with how deeply we had slept. She left me to take care of Brother while she hurried back to her room to check. At the dining table, Brother calmly opened that letter.
It read,
"Cousin, surprised? I am this kind of woman. Please apologize to Aunt on my behalf. I didn't have the courage to leave her a letter. But actually, I don't feel all that sorry toward you. Before I was 14, I lived with my father and mother. Those were days you could never imagine. My father was frustrated in his official career. Every day he was either drinking heavily or frequenting brothels. My mother had originally been a well-bred young lady, but father was the man she chose herself, so no matter how hard life was, she had to grit her teeth and endure it. Back then I understood that for a woman, money is more important than love. But I truly did admire you. You had lofty ambitions and you didn't look down on my background. I thought I was luckier than my mother. But why were you unwilling to put up even the slightest resistance for me? When you married Xue Jing, it was because she was despicable, and I did not hate you for it. But I only found out by sounding out Changfu that before the marriage. You didn't even say a single word to your father about not wanting it. Then what was I to you? Since I meant so little to you, then I needn't feel guilty about using schemes to seize hold of your wealth and status. And now you don't even have wealth and status anymore. With disaster upon us, forgive me, I can only protect myself first. Though we shared part of the journey, we will not meet again. I hadn't even had time to be angry over this letter before Mother came back with a grim face. Nanny Tian said bitterly, "The box where the old madam used to keep her banknotes is completely empty. The young lady cousin is too ruthless. Not a single note was left behind." Brother put down the letter, his expression still unmoved, as if nothing could stir his emotions. It was at this moment that Xue Jing came in. As soon as she entered, she sniffed and said, "Such a strong smell of sleeping drug. Did you use it as calming soup at night because you couldn't sleep?" I couldn't smell that faint lingering sleeping drug, but thinking back to last night, I could guess that Lu Inghe first drugged us unconscious, then went to ransack Mother's room. Since she had sleeping drug, it wouldn't be surprising if she had other vile drugs as well. Blushing, I handed over the letter and pointed to the words, using schemes as I said, "This is the letter Lu Inghe left behind." Although she didn't say it outright, judging from these two words, she was probably the one who drugged Brother's soup back then. "I'm sorry, I wronged you." Xue Jing's expression turned serious. She took the letter, read it from beginning to end, then raised her head and asked earnestly, "Am I the only one you need to apologize to?" Mother looked somewhat embarrassed, but she still said, "I misjudged her character. I raised her for 3 years without knowing I was raising a wolf. You've been wronged." Xue Jing nodded. "Yes, I have been wronged." After saying that, she walked to Brother, held the letter up before his eyes, and said, "And you? Your beloved framed me. Shouldn't you apologize to me twice, including her share?" Brother didn't even move his eyes, as if he hadn't heard her at all. Xue Jing withdrew the letter and stared at his face as she said, "What? Has your beloved abandoned you, leaving you so heartbroken you can't even speak anymore? Then I'll heal your legs so you can go find her and apologize to me together. Xiaolin Yuan, you may question my character, but you may not slander my medical ethics. You must apologize for this. We do feel guilty, but what Xueqing said sounded a little crazy, as if she were deliberately trying to provoke my brother. She pushed my brother's wheelchair and headed toward the room, saying, "If you won't speak, I'll take it as a yes, so let's go soak in the medicinal bath first." Mother wanted to step forward and stop her, but she also asked somewhat temptedly, "Can Yuan's leg really still be cured?" Xueqing turned her face and said, "I don't know. He's a dead horse anyway, so let's just treat him however and see." She pushed my brother into the room, had hot water prepared, and then drove all of us out. Changfu wanted to stay inside to help my brother take off his clothes, but Xueqing wouldn't allow it either. As she undressed my brother, she said, "Xiaolin Yuan, listen carefully. In us doctors' eyes, there is no distinction between men and women. There wasn't when I treated your injuries in Tongcheng, and there isn't now when I'm taking off your clothes. Little cripple, when I tap your leg now, can you feel it?" Mother and I stood at the door listening in trepidation, only feeling that Xueqing was like a wild deer released back into the mountains, rough to an extreme. When my brother didn't answer her, she continued provoking him. "Oh, my little cripple, not only are your legs useless, even your mouth has become useless too. That's true, you're lame, so you won't be able to ride a horse anymore. Sitting in a wheelchair, even a spear is taller than you. How pitiful. You little cripple, you." Finally, when she called my brother little cripple, yet again, he erupted and roared, "Get out. Get the hell out." Only 5 short words, yet they were the first words he had spoken since returning home. Xueqing obediently got out. She opened the door and said to Changfu, "Keep an eye on him. Help him out again after the time it takes 1 stick of incense to burn." Mother invited her to the sitting room and asked uneasily, "You've looked at his leg. Are the chances good?" Xueqing shook her head. "I don't know. I've never treated a leg injury this severe." But today's first step succeeded, he shouted. Once he shouts, the pent-up gloom in his heart can dissipate, and only then can he slowly begin to have the desire to live. So those words that were nearly humiliating also counted as a kind of treatment. Mother solemnly gave Xueqing a formal bow. "All right, I trust you. Use anything in the house as you please. However you treat him from now on, I won't interfere." Xueqing awkwardly avoided it, then also said solemnly, "Madam Xie, as a doctor, I will do my utmost." Mother left, and I secretly raised my eyes to size Xueqing up a few times. She looked at me. "What is it? Did I get herbal medicine on my face?" I said softly, "It's just that you seem different now, like you've become another person." She smiled, "Because I've figured it out. I don't care about the rules of your capital anymore. From now on, I'm going to live by my own rules." Xueqing's rules were to treat my brother like a doll to be manipulated. She brewed medicine for him and wiped him down, turning my brother over and over like a slab of meat. Even outside the room, I would hear my brother shout in embarrassed fury, "Xueqing, you're not allowed to touch there. Changfu, get Changfu to come instead." But Xueqing only needled him, saying, "Your mother entrusted you to me, so whoever I say comes, comes." She pushed my brother outside to bask in the sun, and after a while, she just left him there alone. She hid in a corner and watched, insisting on waiting until my brother couldn't bear his urgent need to relieve himself and called her name before she would step forward and push him back into the room. Gradually, even though there was still no visible change in his legs, my brother became willing to speak more and more often. That day, Xueqing was giving my brother acupuncture. I went to deliver the medicinal soup, and just as I reached the doorway, I heard my brother ask in a low voice, "Why go to such lengths? My legs are beyond saving. There's no point getting entangled with a cripple like me." Xueqing didn't say that she could definitely cure my brother's legs. She merely lifted her head and said with bright, piercing eyes, "Does a broken leg make you worthless? If your leg is broken, do all the battles you fought just vanish? Has the strategy in your head disappeared too? If you can't go to the battlefield, can't you still be a strategist? Xiaolin Yuan, they say Duke Xie fled. Do you believe it? Anyway, I don't. Not a single person in Tong City would believe it. If you fall here, I'll look down on you." Brother didn't want Xueqing to look down on him. And from that day on, the brother I knew from before came back. He actively cooperated with Xueqing's treatment and drank every foul-smelling medicine. Whatever strange posture Xueqing told him to do, he did it. When it was time to apply the last medicinal patch, I brought them dinner. Shuejing was so tired that she fell asleep, and I saw brother carefully wrap an arm around her waist and murmur, "Aging, I won't make you sad again." Brother stood up. Although he was still not steady, he had regained his spirit. With his fighting spirit back, he was unwilling to just sit at home and wait, so he submitted a memorial. He knew that under such circumstances, the court would not feel at ease letting him return to the battlefield. So he wrote everything he had learned about the Barong army over the past few years, along with the tactics he had summarized, into the memorial, hoping to offer some help to the new generals. That memorial not only helped the new generals, it also helped Father. Father had not fled after the battle. He had gone deep into enemy camp and was trapped there for a time. There really was a traitor in the army, which was why his messages could not be sent back. But the new defending general used new personnel and instead managed to get in contact with Father. Working together, they won a great victory. In all these years of fighting Barong, this was the greatest victory yet. When the battle report was sent back, the whole court celebrated. Even before the Imperial Guard withdrew, they came to the residence to pay their respects to brother and express their admiration. Our CF family once again became a ducal residence with illustrious military merit, and brother's leg was completely healed. A general's duty is not in the capital. He was going back to the battlefield. Before leaving, brother came to mother blushing. He wanted to hold a wedding in the capital and make up the wedding night to Shuejing. He didn't know that while he was away, mother had already arranged a divorce between him and Shuejing on his behalf. Mother pondered for a moment, then said with a smile, "Good. Let bygones be bygones, as if yesterday had died. Let what comes hereafter be, as if today were reborn. Hold another wedding and treat it as your new beginning." No one thought Shuejing would refuse. In those hardest days, she could have left, but she didn't. She stayed by brother's side and helped him stand up again. Now that the good days have come, it's our turn to repay her. Brother took me all over the capital's jewelry shops and personally had a pair of matching heart locks made to pray for unity of heart between him and Shuejing. But on the day the locks were finished, brother went to find her in great delight, only to see her holding a bundle and saying, "Xia Linyuan, your injury is healed. It's time for me to go home. I came to witness happiness." How did the happiness disappear? I stammered a little. Sister-in-law, this is your home." She looked at brother. "Is that what you think too?" Seeing her bundle, brother became a little flustered, but he still said firmly, "Yes. You are my wife, so this is your home." Shuejing smiled. "Xia Linyuan, what's between us is really ironic. When I wanted to be your wife, you didn't acknowledge me. Now I no longer want to be your wife, yet you're willing to acknowledge me. But time can't be turned back. You wanted to divorce me back then, so now you may as well get your wish." Brother panicked. That was because I was blinded by folly. I misjudged people. "Aging, if you're angry, you can hit me or scold me, anything. I only beg you, don't speak so lightly of leaving." But Shuejing did not stay because of our pleas. She still strode forward. Brother caught up and grabbed her hand. "I know you're angry, but marriage is a major matter for a woman. Calm down and think it over. Then give me one more chance, all right?" Shuejing stopped. She turned to look at brother and asked probingly, "Marriage is a major matter for a woman. Then what is it to you?" Brother looked at Shuejing in silence, thinking about how to answer. But Shuejing did not wait for his answer. She spoke with certainty. "It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to you at all. So you were unwilling to marry me, yet you wouldn't even open your mouth to refute it. You simply imagine me as a bad woman who would be troublesome to get rid of. Rather than go through the trouble, you might as well marry me first and then leave me behind in the capital unused." During those months locked in the courtyard, I kept thinking, "You're a great hero. How could you be so arbitrary?" My heart was trapped by this matter, and it hurt so much I wanted to gouge it out. But later, someone collapsed in front of me, and I had no choice but to pull myself out of my heartbreak. I healed her, and then more and more people came to me for treatment. As I kept treating people, I figured it out. Your life belongs on the battlefield, and marriage is only an insignificant part of your heart. But for the sake of loving you, I so easily gave up practicing medicine. This is medicine's punishment for me, punishing me for hanging my backbone on someone else. On this detour I took, half the fault lies with you for listening blindly and trusting blindly, and half lies with myself for giving up too easily. Now that everything has been said, Once I walk out this door, if we never meet again, let that count as a clean break." She spoke with finality. The moment she said, "never meet again," my brother's expression changed. Unwilling to believe it, he said, "You're lying. If you truly had no feelings for me at all, then why did you go to such trouble over my leg?" With a smack, Xuejing knocked away my brother's hand. "Xiaolinyuan, we really are not suited for each other. I told you long ago I have my master's teachings. My sect forbids me from standing by and doing nothing when someone is dying. One should clearly distinguish gratitude from grievance. You protected the people of Tongcheng, so I treated your leg injury. You are not worthy of being a husband, so I don't want you. If you still don't understand, then I'll make it even clearer. I once admired you with all my heart, but I don't love you anymore. Back then, you didn't value my goodness. Now that you want it again, I'm unwilling to give it." They stared at each other, both stubbornly holding their ground. In the end, my brother was the one who gave in. He did not dare look at Xuejing again. With a wave of his hand, he summoned the courtyard full of servant women. I was startled and quickly stepped in front of Xuejing to question him. "Brother, what are you trying to do?" My brother smiled sadly, yet stubbornly said, "Jing, we are husband and wife. Under the law, husband and wife cannot be easily separated. Be good and wait for me to come back. I will spend the rest of my life making it up to you." After saying that, he instructed the servant women, "Take the young madam back to her room and keep a close watch on her. Before I return from Tongcheng, she is not allowed to leave the house." He wanted to use a husband's authority to keep Xuejing, but by one twist of fate after another, he had long since lost that authority. Xuejing took out the divorce agreement and looked at him in disappointment. "Xiaolinyuan, if you can't be my husband, do you not even want to be a decent human being anymore? Ask that version of yourself on horseback. Did you fight bravely and kill the enemy so that you could become this kind of person?" Xuejing still left. In the courtyard, a servant woman whom she had once saved quietly went to fetch Mother. Mother rushed over and slapped him across the face. "You wretch! With the ancestors of the Xie family watching from above, who taught you to repay kindness with enmity like this." That slap hurt my brother, and it hurt Mother too. Mother could hardly bear it either, but she still made the decision to let Xuejing go. Lowering her eyes sorrowfully, she looked at my brother and said, "You honor, when you've done something wrong, you must admit it. I must, and so must you. We ourselves lost such a wonderful girl." Xuejing was lost completely. My brother returned to the battlefield, thinking that since Xuejing had most wanted to treat wounded soldiers before, perhaps she would return to Tongcheng. But he searched all through Tongcheng and could not find a single girl named Xuejing. And so year after year passed. Aside from longing for her, all he did was search in vain. By the 6th year of searching, I was 20 and could no longer remain unmarried. Mother lay awake the whole night and wrote a letter to father, discussing taking in a live-in husband for me. She was afraid my brother would spend his whole life searching, but she was unwilling to force him into marriage, afraid it would become another tragedy. In order to find the right person, I began going from one matchmaking meeting to another. The view from the 3rd floor of Tingyan Tower was especially fine, and there I saw someone I had not seen for a long time. Lu Yinghe was wearing gray clothes, with some injuries on her face, standing at the entrance of a pawnshop. She looked like she was not doing very well. I remembered asking Mother whether we should look for Lu Yinghe, and she had only said flatly at the time, "Since we once treated her sincerely, there's no need to bring her back just to punish her." Without our protection, that sum of money became a death warrant for her. She was tougher than Mother had imagined. She was still alive. I was unhappy to see her, and so my attitude toward Luo, the young general I was supposed to meet that day, was a bit colder. He was a junior officer under my father, from an ordinary family but brave. He probably liked me, and scratched his head anxiously as he said, "Miss, are you curious about the military camp? How about I sneak you in for a look?" He had come to the capital this time to gather supplies and had brought a small troop with him, stationed outside the city. Tongcheng was too far away, and I had never seen a military camp before, so I nodded and went with him. But the moment I reached the camp gate, my legs would not move. Xuejing was standing right there, pinching and sniffing a cartload of medicinal herbs. She was dressed in men's clothing, but I still recognized her at a glance. I ran over as fast as I could, my heart pounding as I said, "Sister-in-law, is it you?" When she saw me, she froze for a moment, then looked around in a panic and pulled me into a corner, saying, Don't be so loud. If they find out I'm a woman, they'll be too embarrassed to let me treat their injuries. Now it was my turn to be stunned. These past few years, have you really been in Tongqing's army the whole time? Just as proud as when I first met her, she smiled and said, "Yes. Impressive, right?" I stared at her in disbelief. But my brother clearly... Your brother clearly searched everywhere for me, didn't he? She cut me off and said calmly, "Then I have your father to thank for that. Old General Xia is a fair man. He felt that his son was in the wrong, and also thought highly of my medical skills. So he decided to let me stay disguised as a man and serve as an army doctor, and he promised me that he would never let Xia Linyuan find me. Now that I had found her, and she was so close to my brother, my hopes stirred again. I hesitantly probed, "Then, have you forgiven my brother?" Xue Jing pointed at a figure in the distance and said, "Miss Xia, let me introduce him to you. That is my husband. He is just as capable as I am. I competed with him in medicine for a whole day and night before he agreed to become an army doctor with me. The war in Tongqing is nearly over. When it ends, we will go together to the northwest to serve as army doctors. It's hard for two doctors like us to deal with generals like your brother. If you're going to tell your brother, could you wait until after we've left?" She did not answer my question, but her introduction was the answer. She had already let go of my brother and gone very, very far away. I tried hard not to let my tears fall and nodded in agreement. I think that one day I will tell my brother. Maybe then he'll have a great cry and let go. Maybe he won't be able to cry or let go and will remain tangled up like this for the rest of his life. But no matter what, the person he missed will never come back again.